they are. General just means the name of the headline. You don't really have to worry about what it's based on. If you go to basic character formats, it gives you the typography of this particular style. In this case, it's the font family is Arial. The font style is bold. You can have a bunch of different styles. The size is 72 point, which is standard point size. Leading is automatic, which it should always be. Kerning is metrics, which I'm not going to have to explain that, but it's something you need to have. Case is normal. You don't want to have it unless you want to change it to uppercase or sub. What do they call those? All caps. I don't think you're going to want to change that. All the rest of these, advanced character formats, character color, these are all features that you can change, but without really having a strong need to do so, I would suggest you don't do that. The only thing is to make sure that you're working in the right style when you select text. This is really important. For example, if I've got this headline selected, if I went over here and changed the style to say body text, you'll notice that it's going to look completely different. So I need to go back to headline text. You can see the different features of the different styles. There's subhead, author style, which you'll see just below this one, body text, headline, image title, and references. So we'll go back to headline. This block of text under here is the author's, and that's, again, if you double click on it, it's got its own character formats and so on that have already been predetermined. Down here we've got text, basically the body text. But the idea with this one is it's got a character style, but it's also got something known as a paragraph style. I'm going to go down to paragraph style right here to show you. Since oftentimes body text will have different types, it'll have different font sizes and different kind of subheadings within the text, and you still want those items to flow on the page. For example, you don't want to have this body text part separated from the subhead, because if you change the body text and make it longer, it might bleed over this second subhead over here. You want it to flow. So if I just stick my cursor in here and start typing some garbage, as you can see, this subhead right here flows with the text that I've added, and that's really important. The subhead is its own paragraph style. So if you go over here and double click on subhead, it gives you, it's based on the standard character style. And again, these are all set up. You shouldn't have to change them, but in case you do need to go in and do something, this is how to do it. And then it's got character formats, indents and spacing, and this is actually really important. The way I've set it up is so that there's a space after after a return. It's not a full return. It's only a third of a return, essentially, which gives a little bit of space in between that one line and the next line to help with readability. Tabs, we don't really have anything set up there, and we don't have any lines under any of the paragraphs either. The other thing that's really important about posters this size and about body text in general is that when you're trying to convey information, you really shouldn't be hyphenating words. Unfortunately, a lot of hyphenation, particularly when you're dealing with columns, gets in the way of readability of the columns, because it tends, if the columns are really narrow, or narrow enough in comparison to the size of the font, it can cause problems with readability, because words get truncated and broken up, and it's difficult. And so I strongly suggest you turn hyphenation off. In other words, don't check the box. Make sure it's unchecked. Justification. In this case, we have everything is left justified, and that's really covered under an earlier section here where it says indents and spacing. Subhead is actually centered. But if you go into another part of that text, we're down here, we're still in the same text box. Like, for example, if I click on this, it's still one element. But if I go back to the text tool and I click in the body text itself, the style, paragraph style changes. And you can see that here. And it again has a different it's aligned to the left, it's left justified. So those things are really critical. You can delete these, you can copy and paste them, and their styles should go with them, which is actually really convenient. Down here we've got, again, we've got these are just image placeholders, and you don't necessarily need to have this many. You can delete them if you want to. You can also copy and paste them if you want to. In this case, the image title is not linked to the image itself or the placeholder of the image, although every image that you place on this poster, or any poster, must have an image title. And in this case, the image titles are actually rather important. So they've got a paragraph style of their own. And if you go in here, basic character, and the font is the same, it's Arial. Font style is bold. And it's designed so that it pops and it reads better. And then down at the very bottom, we have the smallest of the sizes, and I'll just kind of enlarge this so we can get a better view of it. And this is this down here are the references, and this should be formatted in whatever format for requirements that you have to comply with for whoever you're presenting to, or whatever journal this might go into. And so you can change this, but the actual text size and paragraph and all that shouldn't be an issue. It should be the same. One thing that's probably useful to explain to you, if you zoom in on a file like this, say you want to get really close to it, and then you want to go back and get it on the same all one image again, the easiest way to do that is do Control-0, like that. Hold down the Control key and then hit 0, and that'll shrink everything back onto the screen. You can also get those commands, keyboard commands, by going to View, where you have zoom in, zoom out, fit to page, fit spread to window, actual size, and so forth. Let's see, what else can I show you? Info, basically, if you click on an element, it gives you some basic information, like where it is and so on. It's not actually that critical. Text wrap is kind of important. If you've got an image, let's just pull this out here, drag it over here. If you've got an image that you want to have somewhere up in the text, the body of the text itself, but you want the text to wrap around the image, like say maybe it's something kind of small. We'll make this a little bit smaller. You can locate it there, and then you go over to text wrap, and the selection that's selected right here just basically says the text is going to flow right over. You can kind of see in the little icon, the text is going to flow right over the image. If you don't want that to happen, you can click on the next one, which gives it a border. And you have these options down here for these different border sizes. And basically this one says the amount of space cleared from the top of the image to the text. This is space cleared from the bottom of the image to the text, and this is to the left, and this is to the right. And I'm not sure why it says 0, but if we add, I'll show you how it changes. Let's just add 0.2 inches here. You can see a little bit of outline appearing around this image. And that basically is going up everywhere. Let's do 0.5. Yeah, and that gives you a good idea. You can also edit this image. I explained to you earlier, I said earlier that the white arrow isn't really that important. This is only one area where you might want to use it. Select the white arrow, you'll get another set of handles, and you can customize where this border falls by clicking on those handles, and that's only available under the white arrow. But if you click off that image, somewhere on the background, you can see the text will flow around the image, which can be really useful in some cases. Be very careful, though, when you're having text flow around an image like this, because the text on the right, to the right or to the left of that flow can get pretty truncated and pretty narrow, and can be sometimes difficult to read. So just be very careful on the size, and you don't want to end up with, I'll show you, for example, like if you make this image even larger, you end up with something that's almost not readable on the right-hand side. So anyway, that's text wrap, and that can be really useful and very helpful. Let's see what else we've got. We covered pages, and the pointer and the text tool. I think that's pretty much it. I think that'll suffice for now.